Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Jody Cephas again. Um, this time I've thought it'd be kind of interesting to show how I've concluded Gabriel as being the messenger who spoke to Daniel through through all of his prophecies in the uh, chapters 7 through 12. There's a couple of places where it wasn't Mike or Gabriel speaking, but we'll touch on that here in a minute. But anyway, this here's how I've concluded, and I believe it's a pretty logical explanation as to why it is that it's Gabriel that's the messenger who's speaking to Daniel all the way through these chapters. To start off with, go to chapter 7 in the book of Daniel, verse 15. It says, oh yeah, please use your King James version if you would, because there's some things that isn't quite the same. I've explained that before, but I just asked that you would use the King James version for this if you got one on hand. Anyway, I Daniel was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. In 16 it goes on to say, and I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. Well, all it's really calling him here is one that stood by, and that was in Daniel 7:16. I'll write this down if y'all want to look all this stuff up later on. Excuse me. It don't really say right here who he is, but it don't really matter, because that's part of the overall mystery that's got to be figured out. Actually, it can be figured out in chapter 8, starting in verse 15. And it came to pass when I Daniel had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, and behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. In verse 17 it goes on to say, so he came near where I stood, and when he came I was afraid and fell on my face. And he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Well, if you go back up there to verse 15, it says that it came to pass whenever I had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, and behold, there stood before me the appearance of a man. He was seeing somebody that looked like a man, but he wasn't for sure of it. Then verse 16 actually gives him a name. The voice between the banks, which is Jesus, is telling Gabriel to make this man Daniel to understand the vision. Well, so whenever he came close, whenever he came near in verse 17, this is the kicker right here. Where I stood, and when I came, I was afraid on my afraid and fell on my face. Okay, right there, it don't say why he became afraid. A lot of people think, well, okay, he's a man of God, but thing of it is, he showed up as the appearance of a man. So that wouldn't be enough to make Daniel become afraid and fall on his face. What would, though, is if seeing that Daniel, was in a waking state right here in verses 15 through 17 of the 8th chapter of Daniel, but he was actually seeing him in dreams and visions in chapter 7. So he's seeing somebody while he's in a wakened state, somebody that he's seen in his dreams and visions. So that right there would be enough for anybody to pretty much freak out about it. I don't know if that's a good word to put, but anyway. So So anyway, he calls him appearance of a man right there because he didn't really know what to call him, to be honest with you, because he seen him in an earthly form, but yet he also seen him in his dreams and visions. So anyway, you go on over there to chapter 9, and Gabriel also talks all the way from verse 21 all the way through the 45th verse of chapter 11 without missing a hitch. In other words, because chapter 10 should be removed and connected back to chapter 12 and chapter 9 back with chapter 11 like it was in the first place, then it would show Gabriel speaking all the way through. And then whenever it gets to chapter 10, I better write that down. Excuse me. Okay, the first was in Daniel 8, 15 through 17. Then Daniel 9, 21 through 11, 45. Then the next place is in Daniel 10, verse 20. No, verse 10. Okay, I was on the wrong chapter, no wonder. Okay, and behold, and a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. This was where Gabriel started talking again. Excuse me. And he keeps on talking right up to the 15th verse, and that he identifies him again as the one like the similitudes of the sons of men. Again, he was saying that he was like a man, but he didn't really know what to call him. So that's what he called them, the similitudes of the sons of man. Then in verse 18, he touched me one like the appearance of a man. So he says, they came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man. So basically he was saying the same thing. He was acknowledging that he didn't know he was actually an angel, as we know right now, but it didn't really say right there. Well, if you go on over to chapter 12, which is actually supposed to be connected to chapter 10, then in verse 4, it's where Gabriel actually quits talking to Daniel. But in verse 5, it shows him standing on one side of the bank of the river, and Michael, the other archangel, that's standing on the other side of the bank of the river, and Jesus, in verse 6, is Jesus standing in the middle of the river. Well, if you take that picture and where that river is flowing toward you, Jesus is in the middle, and the angels are on both sides. It's giving you a picture-perfect image of the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the New Covenant, let me put it that way. And this itself confirms that Gabriel is indeed one of the archangels, because he's an angel covering the ark. Okay, that's all I got for right now, brothers and sisters. I hope you got something from this, and please be please leave comments, or even, if you don't agree with it, I'd like to hear about it. God bless you, brothers. This is all my own discoveries, and I hope you got something out of it.